this year, 2023, has been quite interesting. So on one hand, we definitely still are reeling from the shocks of the pandemic, the war in the Ukraine, and there is a big insecurity in the supply chain, which means that companies are still focusing very strongly on words like diversification, risk management, and that often unfortunately leads to a situation where we don't do long-term investments in our suppliers because everybody feels a bit on the edge. We have a lot of restructuring within companies that are trying to better fit their social sustainability teams, and all of that kind of leading to a situation where we're pulling out resources from the ground, and for example the long promised intention of companies to get a better handle on their lower tiers seems to in many cases kind of be on hold. So that was definitely one observation, this hesitancy. Secondly, we do see, obviously we're in the context of all the new legal frameworks that are popping up everywhere in the world that are trying to put mandatory frameworks for a company on how to be responsible for what's happening in their supply chains in terms of human rights. That again often actually creates a good sense of urgency, but it also creates a nervousness and the fact that quite a lot of resources are being put into high-level risk assessments, strategies, etc. And again, not necessarily creating the change or the effort on the ground that we need. Another really important observation is that the people in our supply chain that are the backbone of our supply chain, the producers, the farmers, the workers, the miners, etc., there's still way too many that are tolling away for insufficient wages, that are really suffering. There's way too much child labor still around. And unfortunately, right now in a grand scheme, I think we don't see so much change to that situation. But if I look back practically on this year, then we definitely do see that despite all of those issues that we just talked about, there is still a lot of companies, and I would actually say a lot of people within companies who really are trying to make a difference. For example, we have, I think this year alone, have had over 100 cases of child labor that have been reported to us through buyers, through suppliers that decided they want to support those children in remediation, and the vast majority of those children are now back in school. We've seen companies in Vietnam and Indonesia creating hundreds of opportunities for young workers to get decent work opportunities within their supply chain, and these are children that are in working age that so far have been working in hazardous positions and in child labor situations, and that are now getting a second chance. In Sri Lanka, we've seen a tea factory step up and support all their factory workers with child support to ensure that the children are not dropping out of school despite the economic difficulties that Sri Lanka is going through. And in DRC, I would say nearly against all odds, and together with partner NGOs and the mining industry, we managed to set up a child labor remediation hub where now the first children are taken out of the mines into long-term multi-year remediation program for those children. So if I'm looking at these on-the-ground developments, and that's just a few that I just mentioned, then I think we really can see, well, if we put in the time and the effort, we can actually make a change, and it does really create a positive impact on the people we do want to reach.